Hey, it's Mack with PriceActionTradingSystem.com. It is Tuesday. It's February 24th. This will be our chart lesson for today. And in the end, I think we had a two-tiered channel working up that really started from the break lower just after the open this morning. And while we didn't get any trades, you actually could have taken this short. I didn't. I actually probably should change it to a green, but it was just so much congestion there. And I really thought there was a chance we may go higher. And so I didn't take this short and I didn't mark it either. But looking back on it, there's some reasons, it's a second entry short. Um, it is coming right off the highs of a trading range. And we had a little failed break higher. So the rules tell us we can take that. Um, I didn't mark it because I wasn't real confident in it. But looking back at it after the fact, I should have. So I'm going to go ahead and put that trade on there. It's a little bit aggressive because of all the overlap, but the odds tell us that we're going to the other side of the channel. And you see what happens. We fail out the top, and a lot of people get long up here, and then they run, and all the stops accumulate down here, and so they run it down there, and it hits those stops and shoots right through, and then they run through them, and a lot of people jump onto the short side as well, and then they reverse it, and it's been all uphill pretty much the rest of the day. Um, so. Um, that's what you really couldn't find this two-tiered channel till later in the day. The first swing doesn't come till lunchtime, and this has only touched it once at the high so far. So, but what really confirms it for me after the fact is the fact that we swung back and forth all along this midline. This midline acts as a magnet, kind of like a magnet. It pulls prices to it, and when they get to it, it kind of tries to repel them. And notice what happened, how it was trying to repel them here, but it got on through and it went down to the lower side. So, but you couldn't really find this early on unless you just happened to notice that midline through there and drew that line and then started playing with it. You might have been able to get a little bit then because you could have had this up here and you just find a equal distance down and guess where it bounces right there as well. So there's a lot of ways to get there. You don't just get it off the trend line, and you don't always just get it off. Uh, you can actually get it off the upper side, and sometimes you can get it right out of the middle. And it's obvious that prices are swinging back and forth around something up through here. And notice how well it fits. And so that's a good sign. But it takes experience to do that, and most people are not going to have this probably in until late afternoon, and then it's too late to really put it to much use other than where you might want to exit up through here. That's about it. So um, first thing I was looking for once we made this leg up, I was looking for a measured leg, and look where a measured leg would have got you, right to the top, but we never got there. Prices just couldn't continue on. Um, we closed near the high of the day, but only a couple of points off. But we just couldn't make that. We couldn't muster up enough strength. It really got kind of boring through here again on both sides of that area, and then we had a nice little push up right here. This was a nice setup right here. So, um, but anyway, I'm gonna back out and we'll talk about the trades. And that's why it's always helpful to draw these shorter term trend channels too, because it'll help keep you on the right side and alert you to things. But early on, we were just stuck in this, and uh, right around the 7 o'clock hour, uh, we got a second entry long right there. Uh, this is a double top, so you can count it either way. Pull back first entry, pull back. There's a second entry. It looked like it was going to fail, and then we get a failed second entry short. But notice that new low, first entry, pullback, second entry. Look at that big bearish bar. But you can see how everything's stacking up, how flat the EMA is there. That's a sign. And so when it failed, if you weren't in yet, jump in. And if you were in, add on right there because that's a short trap. And even with a stop, this worked. It was real. It took a minute, but it worked. If you weren't in yet when it pulled back here and failed again, I wouldn't enter this close to the highs. Um, I think it's too risky then. Something's, it should have taken on off there and it didn't. And it got enough for the scalp, but that was it. And then we double tested this again, and you got another second entry long right here off the low. And so you could almost assume, hey, maybe this is a breakout pullback long. I went back and forth whether or not to make this one green. I'm going to leave it blue because if you bought every time it came back, you would have had a good trade here. But I would have used the limit order here. I'm going to explain that because of all that overlap. When this broke lower and still couldn't get above these, that's telling you something. So when this one broke higher, just drop a limit order in there. Try to get a tick or two back in, and you could have gotten filled a couple of ticks, and then it's a quick, easy move. So anyway, those were 3 quick scalps, nothing much more out of them. And then we just talked about this trade. Looking back on it, when this broke lower, you might have used a limit order. Um, and you really could have taken it regardless, but you probably wanted to use a limit order either way. And I just wasn't crazy about it because I kept expecting us to either go higher or we should have turned down pretty quickly. Once it went lower, you see, you really can't second guess the price action. It's almost always right. And that's what I was trying to do there. I really wanted to see another leg up, and we just didn't get it. But when this thing falls down here and you get this reversal bar, this is what you call a reversal bar. It opened inside this bar like you would expect, and it starts trading down, and look how bearish it looks, but look how far away we are from the EMA. And we hadn't moved very far away from it at all for a long time, so it's probably going to snap back. There's plenty of room in there. It's a failed break lower. We traded up into this trading range, so the odds tell us that when we continue on, we're probably going to succeed out the top, and that was another reason I was looking for this to go higher here. But a lot of times they like to trap them both ways multiple times, and they did that here. They trapped them out the top twice. They didn't trap them out the bottom this time. It held, but that's a good sign on that second entry to go long there. But anyway, this is a good setup right here. There's another one possibly right here, but the fact that we didn't find any real support up here except for that one little bar worried me. So there was a chance you could make another leg down like this one. So I thought it was better to wait and see what happens. We shoot up. I don't think you want to go short here. You've got a trend line right there. It shoots down, and it does find your support here. That's a second entry. Now I think it's worth taking. It's the first break of this channel. And notice the fact that we overshot it here is a good indication that we may get the break. And but this second entry just keeps going. You're able to get runners out of that one. And then you get your correction, your break, attempted a new low, and it tried multiple times here to make that new low, and it couldn't. There's a second entry long right there. I liked it, tried to push up to a new high, and once it got going, it took off pretty good. So now on this channel, you got your break and those are basically 2 measured legs, and that's another. Here's your first leg, and then there's your second leg. We didn't quite get a measured leg, you can see that, but it's close. Real close, and there's 2 legs in the middle there, and so you don't want to be going long up here. So just sit tight because you've had a break of this, and you don't really know this bigger one's here yet. And watch what happens. You get your new high, first entry, pull back. There's a second entry long. Prices aren't even back to the EMA yet. Look how stacked up that is. There's no reason to go long there, but you get a trap and you can go short, and it's right off a possible trend line. And then it tries to go higher a couple more times here, and gives you that big bearish bar. And look how everything's below the EMA. I count that there's a double top there, so you can count that as a new high. First entry, pull back, second entry, big bearish, nice bearish bar. And you don't know it's going to drop down like that, but you figure we're probably going down to the other side, and that's the first close outside this short-term channel. And you would be considering looking for a measured move, and you can see we got that a little bit further than that. So nice move there on those 2 trades, and that takes you from one side down here. And now you draw this line, and you probably could have found the midline pretty quickly. And it's tempting to go long here, but I think you needed to wait on a trap, and you never really get one. It just keeps going higher. So I was kind of mad at myself, but this is what I tell people all the time. Just be patient. Because if you start chasing this, the next thing you know, it's going the other way and you get stopped out. But by being patient, in a minute it comes back. If you draw that trend line right off those highs there and drag it down, originally I had it a little bit higher, and it may be there. Um, that works just as well. I kind of slid it down. I'm not sure which one is. Either way, you still get the close outside right here and a couple legs up, and then you get one working down. You get a close outside, attempted a new low, and then you're going higher again. So it didn't matter exactly where you had it, but this overshoot right here tells you, hey, I better look out for a break of my trend line, and you'll see that a lot. Um, and you get two legs down, and so again, I'd be looking for a measured move right there when you get that little two legs in the middle. And you can see we had a little correction, but we still went on, and we actually overshot that some. But there's a second entry long right here. It's not a perfect signal bar, but it's the first break of this little channel. Prices just came off the low. We had a nice trap here, so we're probably going to work higher. And it takes it a minute, but it works on up higher. There's a little pullback right here, but that's right into that resistance across there. You just can't go long there. And you did have your break and it pushed a new high, so you had to be careful. There's a failed second entry short there too, but you're right into that midline, which you should have there by now. And the big thing is you've already had a break and a couple legs up to a new high, so you really want a good setup to go long. You don't want to be going long right into all that resistance right there with the midline and the double top, and look across here at the resistance that we had already. Prices have been struggling to get higher there. The one thing different about this area right here than over here is the fact that everything's above the EMA here and everything's below over here, and we're on the way down over here and we're on the way up over here. And remember, we talked about that the other day, that what do prices do? They swing from one side of the channel to the other. Sometimes they will turn that off the EMA, so you got to be aware of that. And that was a distinct possibility here. So you had to be, that made you want to be much more careful about going long, especially with the break here and the move to a new high. So it was really tempting to go short here. And if you had gone short, it would have worked. But look at all that overlap. It's just a little congestion area, and what happens, prices usually snap back. And then you get it was much more tempting to go short here than it was here for that reason. But let me explain this. Look at this. We couldn't get below the EMA, and you're trying to get short right into it there, which is not always a bad thing. If prices have been below, like right here, you might think about if everything else lines up. But everything's above, and we're coming back and testing that right here. So there's a good chance. I mean, this is really tempting to go short. This is the first break outside this little move down here, but there's already two legs down, and now you got a break. And the problem here that I see is that you got a double bottom right here with a little one-tick trap. So it's dangerous going short into that. That's why I actually had this circled as green to possibly go long, because you've got that little one-tick trap, and it would have worked if you went long right there as well. It pulled back here and tested that area, but notice how it never would have got your stop. So it's more tempting to go long there than to go short, because of everything is pointing up at this point. And again, it looks like a failed second entry long. So, but the reason I wouldn't go short is that double bottom there with that little trap, plus the fact that everything's above the EMA. And of course, what does it do? It ends up trapping everybody. And there's no real clue to know here, other than the things I just talked about. Anybody could get trapped here. If you did, you got to exit, or especially when it turns up, just exit right there, or reverse. Reversing can be another tricky thing, because sometimes you get it wrong both times and you get whipsawed. So I think right there, you're just, when that bar When this bar right here ends up as an inside bar, I think you just exit there. And that way, the worst you do is you get out at, break even, or you lose a tick or something. So, and you might even get out with a tick. So, when it starts looking like it's going to reverse there, because honestly, if that was going to be a trap, it should have shot on down. So, and it didn't. So, not many people got fooled there. And the reason is because everything's working higher and everything's above the EMA. Several different clues there. They're very um, they're not big, bold, stick out in your face clues like there usually are, but they're minor clues that are telling you you better be careful what you do. And in hindsight, really, this whole area here, you probably ought to just stay out of it. So anyway, that's enough for today. I think it's pretty clear that we spent most of the day from here on trending up with a nice correction in the middle. So you're looking for, once we started going higher, you're looking for a measured move. We never got it, but we ran out of time. So the market just didn't muster much up in the afternoon. Didn't really muster up much all day, but really from just after the open till into maybe the 11:30 hour, there was some pretty good movement. Past that, it didn't do much. So anyway, I'm going to wrap it up. This is Mack with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and we'll see you next time.